Hello, I'm Larry Peterson, WA9TT. In this video, we will discuss ways to communicate over the air, including Q signals, emergency communications, types of ham radios, and use of repeaters. There is a lot of lingo and terms unique to ham radio. One group of such unique ham radio language are Q signals or Q calls. For instance, if a ham is detecting interference caused by some man-made source, whether it's from another ham or from a power line, it's called QRM. There are lots of natural sources of radio interference and noise. A lightning strike can be detected by hams many, many miles away. When noise is generated by nature like this, hams call it QRN. If you are communicating with another ham and he tells you he is operating QRP, that means he is using a very low level of power. Most hams that operate portable like you see in this image are operating QRP. If someone asks you where your QTH is, that means they want to know the location from which you are transmitting. Most often, a ham's QTH is their home, but when they operate mobile, wherever they are at the time of the transmission is their QTH. QSL is the Q signal for I received your transmission okay. It is also the name given to a special printed card that you send to another ham confirming that you had a contact with him. Now pause this video and turn to page 8 of your Radio Merit Badge workbook and complete the exercise to describe these Q signals. We all live in areas where there are different types of major disaster events. The East Coast has its hurricanes. The West Coast has its earthquakes and tsunamis. The middle of the country has its tornadoes. As a ham radio operator, you need to be ready to send an emergency message. In fact, during catastrophic emergencies, like the one we just showed, anyone can use any kind of radio when it's a life or death situation. If you are a ham, or even if you aren't and have access to communications equipment, you would turn on the gear, first listen to what we call traffic, that is, people already talking. Then you would speak clearly into the microphone and say, "Break, break." This tells people you likely have an immediate need to make a contact. The common word used on the radio for "I have an emergency" is Mayday. If you forget the word Mayday, you could just say emergency. Now, what do you think this is? That's right. It is the symbols we use when writing Morse code. And what do you think it's saying? Good guess. That's right. It means SOS, which is the Morse code version of the word Mayday. Now turn back to page 8 in your workbook and complete the exercise about making an emergency call. Let's cover some of the names of equipment that is used by ham radio operators. First, many of us use a base station transceiver. This is usually located in a place we call our ham shack, where all our heavier gear is located. Some ham shacks can be very complicated. Many hams use their mobile radios more than anything else. Mobile radios in automobiles can communicate locally, especially through repeaters, but they can also be the kind of radio that will communicate internationally. Of course, some hams might get a little carried away with their mobile stations. and most all hams have at least one handheld radio. Many have several. You might call them a walkie-talkie, but we call them HTs for short. This is an abbreviation for handy talkie, a term that usually isn't used much anymore by hams, but we still use the abbreviation. Now turn to page 8 of your radio workbook and complete the exercises about handheld transceivers, home-based transceivers, and uses for mobile transceivers. We mentioned repeaters a couple of minutes ago. An HT usually doesn't have enough power for its signal to go a long distance because things get in the way of the signal. Since VHF and UHF radio signals, that is very high and ultra high frequencies, can be easily blocked by an object such as a tall hill, ham operators frequently will install a repeater on top of the hill. Repeaters will receive the signal from a low-powered HT and simultaneously transmit that received signal out to distances much farther than that little HT could accomplish all by itself. Others who may not have received the signal straight from the HT will receive the retransmitted signal from the repeater. Repeaters can be connected to the internet via systems such as Echolink or the Internet Radio Linking Project. There are even links created between the repeater and the internet that will allow you to use your low power HT to speak to someone someplace else in the world. Please pause the YouTube video and turn back to page 8 of your radio workbook. Complete the exercise at the bottom of the page about amateur radio repeaters. Congratulations! You are now at the end of your online YouTube Radio Merit Badge instruction, brought to you by Shane, Laurel, and Larry, and the Gathering Waters District in Northeast Wisconsin. You should now have 100% of your workbook filled in from pages 1 to 8. It is important that you have all of these assignments done before we meet with a group of scouts to show you one or more radio stations and to get your 10 minutes of radio airtime. There won't be too much time at our gathering for you to fill out empty spaces in your workbook. Before concluding this video, I would like to show you a few things which can happen during your airtime. We have prepared a special simulated session for you to use some 2-meter VHF HTs for a fun, exciting time on the air. As we say in ham radio, 73, that means best wishes.